Hello to my review of the 13th week from the Barclays Premier League. It's been another fantastic week with really some cracking goals all around the 10 fixtures in the Premier League. So we'll review the first game, which took place at Villa Park, where Aston Villa were held to a goalless draw with Sunderland. Now, for Sunderland, they are winless on the road so far this season, and this game was actually quite a tight affair. Sunderland did have probably the best opportunity to take the lead through Giaccherini, but he missed and turned out to be a costly miss for Sunderland. In saying that, Aston Villa did come out in the second half the stronger of the two sides, and in the late stages I feel that both teams were a bit jaded because they really struggled. Now for Sunderland, that's their fifth away game without a goal, so really I think Gus Poyet needs to motivate his team and get them defensively sound, and so they can hit teams on the counter-attack, because if Sunderland continue to go on like this, I think they'll get relegated at the end of this season. The second game took place in Wales, where Cardiff lost to the league leaders Arsenal, and the game finished Cardiff 0, Arsenal 3. It was actually a difficult game for Arsenal. They did dominate the first half in possession, and this culminated in Aaron Ramsey getting his first goal of the game against his former club. And kudos to the Cardiff fans who actually cheered and appreciated Aaron Ramsey. So thank you very much to the Cardiff fans. That was very nice, a nice gesture. And in the second half, Cardiff came out and they really dominated Arsenal. Arsenal were pushed further and further into their final third. Cardiff had a couple of chances here and there, but it was really nothing that Wojciech Szczesny couldn't save. And as Cardiff continued to press forward, Arsenal hit them on the counter-attack, and within 10 minutes left, Mathieu Flamini got his first goal in his second stint at Arsenal, and Aaron Ramsey scored a brace. You know, he's the man in form, so he is scoring most of our goals, and that maintains Arsenal at the top of the table. The next game took place at Goodison Park, where Everton absolutely thrashed Stoke City 4-0. And Everton really just dominated the game, but in particular they controlled most of the first half. Gerard Deulofeu, I believe is how you pronounce it, from the loanee from Barcelona, was man of the match. And for Everton, it's 16 Premier League games at home without defeat. So they've got a nice streak and a nice little run of inform for home games going. On the other side, Stoke, they did look poor, but however they must rebound quickly, because they've got the next fixtures in a couple of days' time, midweek. So I think Mark Hughes is going to have to really get his team to forget about their poor performance at Goodison Park and get them concentrating on the next match. But for Everton, hopefully for them, their winning streak continues at home, and they continue to move up and continue their charge towards the top of the Premier League. The next game took place where Norwich fought Crystal Palace, and it was quite an even contest. However, Norwich came out on top at Carrow Road 1-0. It's the first loss for the new Crystal Palace manager Tony Pulis, and it's the 10th Barclays Premier League loss for Crystal Palace this season. Norwich had an excellent display in their first half, really moving the ball quite well. Chris Hughton must have obviously worked his tactics thoroughly during the week, because that Norwich came out the better team. However, Tony Pulis must have had a couple of strong, harsh words towards his Palace players, and they really came out rejuvenated and reinvigorated for the second half. They did hit the crossbar, and a shot, I think, by Barry Bannon may have scraped the post, and they also had a couple of deflected shots here and there. But in saying that, Norwich were solid at the back, and they didn't allow Crystal Palace to find that equalising goal, which is very good for Chris Hughton, because it means he'll probably stay a couple more weeks in his job if the results keep going his way. It was a London derby that took place between West Ham and Fulham, and this game was really a lopsided affair. The game finished West Ham 3, Fulham 0, and just a couple of hours ago I read that this game is actually the final game of Martin Jol's tenure at Fulham Football Club. They did sack him, he is gone, and I believe that it was a couple of weeks in the making. Fulham hadn't been playing well, and that trend continued in this game. For Fulham, it's been their worst start to a Premier League season, and you can tell obviously why Jol was fired. But for West Ham, they dominated the early proceedings and they created many chances. They played Maega and Kevin Nolan up front, and that partnership really seemed to work. For Fulham, I think that as soon as I reviewed this game, I said that they're in relegation form and Martin Jol needs to get sacked, and he did. So my prediction from that turned out to be correct. But for West Ham, it was a comfortable win and a good 3 points for Sam Allardyce against a London rival. At St James's Park, Newcastle defeated West Bromwich Albion 2-1, and for Newcastle, it means that they are they move up into 5th place on the table, and that is their 4th straight victory. It was a fairly even game, even in saying that Newcastle did win, but it was an even contest. Johan Gouffron scoring for Newcastle in his 3rd straight game, so he's getting a good string of matches in the first team, and he's repaying the favour towards Pardew there. But for West Bromwich, they what did they do? Well, they scored a goal with Brunt, which is his first goal from in this Barclays Premier League season. However, minutes later, that was only capped off by an amazing Moussa Sissoko strike to win the game for Newcastle. It was, it had to be around 20-ish yards out. He takes it, he drives the ball, moves past a West Bromwich defender and strikes, and there was no way that Myhill had a chance of saving that, and it propels Newcastle up into the Europa League spot, so good on them, returning to their form that they had around 2 or 3 seasons ago. We'll go to the games that took place on Sunday, and probably the biggest one took place at White Hart Lane. It was Tottenham taking on United, Manchester United that is, and the game finished even 2-2. Again, this was probably one of the more exciting games, not only for the goals, but for either team, how they played the ball. And both sides really just looked timid early. I think that they were kind of both scared. They didn't want to concede in the early proceedings, and that kind of showed. However, the goal that did kick things off was a free kick from Kyle Walker that went underneath the Manchester United wall, and De Gea stood no chance there. And the second goal for Tottenham, which took place in the second half, was another great strike, this time from Sandro. And again, De Gea just was rooted to the spot, didn't move at all. However, you guys probably would guess who scored for Manchester United. It was Wayne Rooney. He did get a brace, and really he was one of the only players for Manchester United that really looked an outlet to get goals and to create something going forward. They did have an outlet on the right-hand side as Jan Vertonghen was playing right back, and their right midfielder or right winger, whatever you want to call it, Antonio Valencia, he did have many chances where the ball would, the diagonal pass either from Rooney or from Cleverley would get thrown out to or kicked out to him, and he had the pace over Vertonghen, but he didn't have good enough deliveries to get the ball in the box. Because I think United could have won if they had have exposed that side of Tottenham's tactics more. However, neither team had that cutting edge to find the winner, and again, it ended up as a draw, and they both teams lose more points to Arsenal, who are leading. At the KC Stadium, this was actually quite an inspiring win where Hull City beat Liverpool 3-1. And it's Hull's first ever win over Liverpool, but it didn't start off all that great as Steven Gerrard, Liverpool captain, 25-yard free kick, and you guessed it, bang, into the top corner. And Liverpool from that stage on did dominate possession. However, in saying that, it was Hull City that created most of the good chances. Alan McGregor for Hull City, the goalkeeper, absolutely inspirational, made a couple of really world-class saves here and there. And for Liverpool, their striker Luis Suarez just cut a frustrated figure. Didn't have, a day out that you know that Luis Suarez can have. For that reason, Liverpool do lose ground again to Arsenal and to the other top teams. And really, this game they probably should have won, like in hindsight. But Liverpool have to learn that they going to places like the KC Stadium and coming up against Hull. There's no easy games in the Premier League, and I think that that's what Liverpool have to understand. The second last game took place at Stamford Bridge, and it was where Chelsea beat Southampton 3-1. And it was John Terry's 400th EPL game, and he capped that off with an excellent smashing header. But it was Southampton that was struck the earliest. They're only a couple of minutes in, and they got a goal through Jay Rodriguez. And Southampton really had a good first half. They dominated the possession, and it was only at half-time where Jose Mourinho decided to change his tactics from 4-2-3-1 to 4-4-2 to not allow Southampton to play from the back and to really make sure that his front two players, or strikers, pressed the Southampton midfield and defence so they couldn't play out from the back. And it really worked, and for that reason, and for Chelsea's quality, that's what gave them the win in this game. And the final game took place at the Etihad Stadium, and Manchester City really had a comfortable victory over Swansea 3-0. Sami Nasri scored a brace for City, and City maintained their perfect record at home in the Barclays Premier League. The first goal coming 8 minutes in was Alvaro Negredo, another marvellous free kick. There have been really a couple of great free kicks this week in the Premier League, and it moves City up to third position. In saying that, Swansea didn't play all that badly. They played good possession football. They had a couple of chances through Jonathan de Guzman, but in saying that, City did have way too much quality on the pitch, and they created the better chances, and they also took those chances, and at home they continued to dominate teams. So be wary if in the next couple of weeks your team goes to the Etihad, because expect a very, very hard City team to come up against. So that is my review from the 13th week of the Premier League, and I'll be seeing you guys in in about a day's time with my preview and review for the 14th week. Because remember, there's a quick turnaround of games, so I'll see you guys then. Also, just a little piece of information, completely off topic. Today is quite an actual tragic day because I'm not sure, I haven't said anything, but I do like the Fast and Furious movies, and if you haven't seen the news, the star there, Paul Walker, died in a car crash. So my condolences go to the Walker family and anyone that was friends with Paul Walker, and he will be remembered as a brilliant actor, as probably a brilliant family man, as if he was to his family, which I'm sure he was, and rest in peace, Paul Walker. So on that note, I'll see you guys very soon for the next couple of videos. Thank you and goodbye.